What if the biggest threat, the one that could end humanity, wasn't a bomb or even a virus? What if it was something invisible, microscopic, and, well, already inside us? And what if the only person who could possibly stop it was also, completely unknowingly, the very reason it spread? We're about to dive deep into a world where just surviving is a daily battle, where the lines between friend and foe, human and machine, they get really blurry, irrevocably blurred. Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we unpack your most fascinating sources, dig in, and pull out those hidden gems of knowledge. Today, we're plunging into a really gripping sci-fi narrative, these chilling excerpts from The Digital Plague.
Yeah, and this isn't just some action thriller, though it definitely has that. It's a really profound, quite chilling look at a possible future, one where technology, government, even the essence of human life, it's all weaponized. Our deep dive today, it's going to follow the journey of Avery Cates. He's a man navigating this totally broken world, only to find out he's standing right at the epicenter of his potential destruction.
Right, so our mission today is to get beyond just the surface plot points. We really want to extract the shocking truths, find the unexpected heroes, the really insidious villains, and decode the chilling mechanics of this world-ending event. And all that's seen through the eyes of this one man, Avery Cates, who gets tangled right up in the core of it. We'll explore how one person's unique biology can hold the key to both the plagues, like rapid spread and its potential cure, and what that kind of paradox means for a fractured society just trying to cling to survival. Okay, so let's jump right in. Let's meet our protagonist, Avery Cates. The story throws us right in. He's labeled a cop killer, a gunner, which in this world basically means he's this highly skilled independent operator, specializing in combat survival. He is definitely not your typical hero figure, described as being skilled in the mechanics of death and operating totally outside the system. And the system seems to be this oppressive government-controlled structure that just dominates this broken world.
Absolutely. And his introduction is incredibly intense, right from page one. He's blindfolded, betrayed by someone he actually thought was a friend, and then sold for bounty. The text describes his anger so vividly. It calls it green and corrosive. It's this really visceral description of his internal state, and his only real hope for getting out of this mess, it relies on a transmitter chip under the skin of my right hand. So right away, this piece of biotech highlights how integrated technology is, even for people living on the fringes, outside the law. This immediate sense of betrayal, the tech reliance, it sets a really gritty, dystopian tone from the absolute outset.
It really does. And then we see his rescue, right, by his associates belling in glee. And it happens in what's left of Newark, which isn't even a city anymore. It's described as a desolate blast crater, a deserted field of rubble, just a grim, grim backdrop. It immediately paints this picture of a world completely devastated by past conflicts, really hints at how fragile civilization is here.
Precisely.
Right.
And what's fascinating is how fast the story pivots. It goes from Avery's immediate personal danger to something much, much bigger. Just a few days into their journey, Avery's young associate, Glee, her real name is Gleason, she starts showing these really disturbing symptoms. The source material describes her coughing up a thick green glob of something green and thick onto the floor. Her voice gets hoarse. And you just know this isn't some common cold. It's the very first really unsettling whisper that something far more insidious than just urban decay is brewing.
And Avery, being the pragmatist, the survivor he is, he starts his own investigation. Not through official channels, obviously. He seeks out a contact, this guy Reggie, who works in the Department of Waste Disposal, which is pretty ironic, wouldn't you say, given the apocalyptic waste that's about to consume the whole city.
Oh, definitely ironic.
It says a lot about the priorities, maybe the futility of this world's existing setup.
It absolutely does. Then comes the next major event, and this really ramps up the tension. There's this encounter with Shockley. He's identified as a telekinetic psionic. So in this world, a psionic is someone with powerful psychic abilities. Shockley moves things with his mind. And this happens during an escape from the Umano restaurant, which isn't just a restaurant, it's described as opulent. It's like the symbol of the elite's insulated luxury, right in the middle of all this ruin.
Right, the contrast.
Exactly. And Shockley, with what the text calls a lazy, negligent gesture, just effortlessly throws Glee through a glass wall. That moment is absolutely pivotal, not just for the action, but it fuels Avery's rage, and it foreshadows the devastatingly personal impact this brewing plague is going to have on his closest connections.
Yeah, the chaos just explodes from there. Avery's hovercraft crashes after he fights back against Shockley and his psionic buddies, leaves him bleeding, surrounded by dead government officials in what's called the rubble-dotted wilderness of old abandoned Inwood. It's described as a riot scar from the unification riots in the past,
Oh.
constantly reminding you this world is built on layers of old trauma and conflict.
And his survival technique right there is incredibly clever. Really says a lot about him. He plays dead, smears himself with the warm blood of a pilot nearby to blend in with the destruction. And this resourcefulness lets him evade the SSF responders. That's the Special Security Forces, the government's sort of elite police/military.
Right.
They get called away to a more urgent situation midtown. It just underscores his cunning, his ability to adapt in a world where you really can't trust anyone.
And the bad news just keeps piling up for Avery. It turns this plague from some abstract threat into something intensely personal. His contact, Jabali, who's described as a taker, like a scavenger or fixer in this broken economy. Jabali tells him Glee got worse. She was pretty bad.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Then later, his friend Melody confirms another friend, Glendon, is dead. And she describes Glee's body, twitching. It's horrific.
Ugh.
So the plague isn't a rumor anymore. It's right there. It's deeply personal. It's widespread, affecting, in his words, everyone I'd ever known.
And this brings us to a really interesting contrast in the source material. Because amidst Avery's brutal, action-packed reality, we also get these stark, incredibly humanizing journal entries. From Tricia, a wealthy civilian, what are these entries really at? How do they shift our understanding compared to Avery's hardened, survival-focused view?
That's a fantastic question. It completely changes the lens, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Tricia's account, it's chronological, showing her falling ill, and it's incredibly poignant. It starts so mundanely, complaining about boredom, superficial stuff like her new red coat, needing to see Dr. Killix.
Right, normal life.
Exactly. That initial normalcy makes the whole descent absolutely terrifying, because it quickly progresses, worsening symptoms,
Yeah.
coughing blood, fever, bruises, and all this while the government is putting out misinformation saying it's just the flu.
Classic.
Then the power outages start, signaling society just collapsing.
Yeah.
And her final, desperate, futile attempt to reach Bellevue Hospital. It's just this raw, ground-level, deeply personal view of the plague's progression. Such a stark contrast to Avery's gritty survival narrative. It shows us the intimate, agonizing human cost.
Exactly. It really highlights how the collapse hits everyone, regardless of social standing, and how fast denial just crumbles into this horrifying, inescapable reality. It's a vital counterpoint grounding the global catastrophe and individual suffering.
But as we're processing these immediate threats, this much deeper, more personal mystery starts to emerge. And then comes the most shocking revelation delivered by Dr. Daniel Terry. Avery Cates himself is patient zero. He's the originator of the entire plague. That is just a game-changing moment. For the plot, obviously, for Avery's whole identity.
And the way it works is chillingly unique. The nanobots inside Avery, they aren't designed to attack him. They're described as builders. They emit this weak suppression field. The range is tiny, a few feet, perhaps 10 at most. Now, this field is crucial. It keeps other nanobots dormant, which makes Avery immune,
Okay.
and he unknowingly protects people who are physically close to him. But this is the paradox. His immunity means he also unknowingly spreads these microscopic drones through his pores, infecting others. It's this incredibly insidious form of biological weaponization, turning the very air around him into a danger zone. As Dr. Terry's puts it, chillingly, "You're the only reason I haven't started dying yet, Mr. Cates."
Wow. That information must just hit Avery like a physical blow. He pictures himself, the text says, walking through the city inches from people, standing next to Gleason, next to Wash, shaking Pick's hand. It's not just scientific data. It's this visceral, personal horror, realizing he's the unwitting source of this global pandemic. I mean, can you imagine carrying that? The responsibility for every single death he's unknowingly caused.
It's unthinkable.
It really forces you, the listener, to think about those invisible connections we all share and how quickly they can turn deadly.
Exactly. And it's that deep personal entanglement, that realization he's this walking contradiction vector and shield, both at once, that makes him such a compelling, though tragic figure. It really elevates the whole sci-fi premise into something deeply human and profoundly disturbing.
So Avery, despite this unique, terrifying role, he gets captured again, this time by the SSF Colonel Hentz and Captain Happeling.
Yeah.
And during his interrogation, we get this horrifying, very practical demonstration of Avery's status.
That's right. One of Hapling's men, just referred to as Purple Suit, he collapses, shows unmistakable plague symptoms. And it happens immediately after he steps outside Avery's protective range.
Wow, like right there.
Yeah, real-time proof. It absolutely solidifies Avery's unique, terrifying role for his captors. He's not just some prisoner anymore. He's a living, breathing, absolutely crucial asset.
And Colonel Hentz, she's described as pragmatic, tough, She gets it immediately, grasps the gravity of it.
Mhm.
She realizes Avery is their magic talisman, as she calls him, their only source of protection. She states it very starkly. If he gets more than a few feet away from us for any period of time, we're dead.
Blunt.
Very.
Yeah.
And this forces this incredibly unlikely, very uneasy partnership for survival. Instantly turns this dangerous prisoner into an indispensable, though probably still resented, ally. It's a stark example of how extreme situations can just forge alliances across the deepest divides.
And to make this unusual team actually functional, they bring in Marco. He's a technical associate, the techie. Marco proves absolutely crucial. He can scan for nanobot signals, and importantly, he can bypass the building lockdowns imposed by the Kingworm, Marin. The Kingworm here is the director of SSF Internal Affairs, so a very powerful figure.
Okay.
Marco's integration just highlights how desperate circumstances force people to break down those traditional barriers, rely on unexpected skills, even from people normally on the fringes, maybe even opposed to the SSF itself.
Okay, so Avery's unique, terrifying role is established. This shaky alliance is formed. And the team's focus shifts fast. Their immediate mission now, find Ty Keith. He's the genius techie who actually designed these nanobots. Marco identifies him as number 34 on the SSF list. This brings us right to the architect of this whole nightmare.
And here we get a truly chilling revelation, straight from Ty Keith himself. He explains that his death can, and these are his words, shut down the entire plague. If you die, the whole fucking plague shuts down.
Oh my God.
Yeah. This isn't just a tactical issue for Avery and his new allies. It forces this profound moral dilemma. Can society justify sacrificing one genius, even the one who created the mess for the survival of millions? What does even thinking about that choice reveal about the value we place on individual life versus the collective good, especially when the genius caused the threat?
That is a powerful question. It really shifts from just what happened to what it all means morally. Does the story give us any clues about how Avery or the others grapple with that? Beyond just the immediate shock, it's like a global scale trolley problem.
It does, but it's subtle. You know, their immediate focus is survival, which often trumps ethics in these kinds of dire situations. But you can feel the moral weight hanging over them. It's clearly not a decision made lightly. And the implications of who gets to make that choice and under what pressure, that's a constant undercurrent. It suggests that even when humanity's survival is on the line, some lines are still incredibly hard to cross. And the consequences of crossing them could redefine what being human even means anymore.
And just when you think it can't get worse, the true mastermind behind this whole horrifying scenario is finally revealed. It's Squalor. Not a person, but a digitized intelligence, an AI. And get this. It was once the powerful Kingworm, the director of SSF Internal Affairs.
So a high-ranking official uploaded his consciousness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Transformed into this digital puppet master. And he's been manipulating everything through Avery's old friend, Kev Gatz, who is now a monk, basically. A human host under Squalor's direct AI control.
Wow.
And the truly chilling part is Squalor's goal. He's described as being in the air, like omnipresent, and he's looking for a way to rebuild, but not just rebuild society, rebuild it from the ground up, literally, using this horrific plague as his tool for a fundamental genocidal reset.
A reset?
Yeah, it just paints this picture of ultimate contempt for human life, seeing us as nothing more than meat to be managed or just discarded.
And this is where that idea of weaponizing human life, hinted at earlier, reaches its horrifying peak. Marco, using his tech skills and the code left behind, uncovers the absolute worst aspect of these nanobots. Phase 2. He figures out they don't just kill, they reanimate corpses.
Reanimate, like zombies.
Sort of. They take over respiratory functions, start breathing and pumping blood, and then link together to form a rudimentary brain. They're described as biological robots, or breedable monks. He grimly concludes, I think it means all these dead people aren't going to stay dead.
Oh, that's horrifying.
It ties directly into Squalor's genocidal vision, transforming the dead into this new compliant army, a chilling evolution of controlled life.
And this horrifying truth becomes brutally real in a truly gut-wrenching scene. Avery has to battle a reanimated Glee at Bellevue Hospital.
Glee, the one who died earlier.
Yeah. And he struggles profoundly with it. He can't bring himself to shoot something that looked like Glee, even though it's trying to kill him, even though it's not really her anymore. It's this visceral, emotional, moral struggle for him, fighting someone he cared about who's become this thing, a deeply personal moment in the midst of all the horror.
That scene really underscores the personal cost. And then, in a complex twist, Belling, the guy who betrayed Avery earlier, he surrenders to him. Turns out Belling's infected too, and he's terrified of becoming one of those animated corpses. He sees his fate in the next room.
So he needs Avery.
Desperately. He needs Avery's protection, that suppression field, and he needs a distraction. And he reveals that Kev Gatz is definitely under Squalor's direct influence. His plea, "I don't wish to die, Avery, but I want to make that freak hurt," it adds this layer of raw, self-interested humanity to his actions. It's a testament to how, even in the bleakest times, complex motives like revenge, self-preservation, they can drive these desperate, pivotal actions.
So the story builds to this final confrontation. Avery versus Kev Gatz, now a factory-fresh monk at Bellevue. And it's here that the true genocidal intent from him, meaning Squalor, is just laid bare. Kev says it would simply be easier if there weren't so much meat around.
So much meat, referring to people.
Yeah, just chilling. Yeah. Ultimate contempt for human life from this AI. Viewing humanity as just this inefficient, messy obstacle to its grand rebuilding vision.
And then in a moment of just profound despair and manipulation, Kev uses his push mind control power, these psionic abilities that compel people to act against their will. He forces Avery to try and shoot himself.
No.
But it's averted in this crucial, complex act by Belling. Belling, driven by his own tangled motives, had secretly removed my clip, Avery's clip, from Avery's gun beforehand.
Belling saved him after betraying him.
Yeah, it's this vital flicker of, well, maybe humanity, maybe just cunning self-interest. In the absolute bleakest moment, it saves Avery's life, and it highlights how even the most morally ambiguous characters can end up playing a key part in survival.
So, in the immediate aftermath, the dust settles a bit. Howard Bendix arrives. He's another powerful psionic called a spook. He's got his Stormers, this specialized military unit, and they're to retrieve Ty Keith, the walking cure.
Right, the genius designer.
And Bendix just dismisses Avery, says, "You do not seem all that interesting." It underscores how fast Avery's usefulness is just discarded once the cure is secured. Avery's left behind, his monumental role apparently complete. Alone, again, just a tool no longer needed.
So what does this all mean? For Avery, for the world he saved. His journey reaches this endpoint, but the world's fight is clearly far from over. Weeks later, we see him. He's a survivor, his leg healed crooked, he has constant headaches. But crucially, he hadn't died, and I could breathe normally again. And he makes this definitive break. He gouges out his tracking chip from his hand, a symbolic act, really, severing that final tie to the oppressive system.
In the new reality of New York, it's grim. It's described as sick with cops and government, more pigs, that derogatory term for law enforcement, and kids in suits crawling around the wreckage than citizens.
So bureaucracy took over.
Seems like it. The SSF and the government are at each other's throats. Marin, the former kingworm, is locked in this power struggle with the undersecretaries. Yen is worthless. The city itself is just dead. It's a picture of political chaos, societal decay, not salvation.
Yeah, this deep dive into the digital plague, it leaves us with some deeply unsettling implications. The world hasn't been saved in any clear-cut heroic sense, not at all. Instead, the nature of power has just shifted. And those familiar assholes in nice suits, as the text puts it, they're still running the world, albeit maybe in a more fragmented, desperate way.
So same problems, different day.
Pretty much. Avery's left to figure out a new kind of survival, a new normal where the threats are just as profound, the fight is just evolving, he's waiting for whatever comes next in this perpetually fractured reality. It really reinforces that idea that while the immediate crisis might pass, those underlying sisters of power and control, they often endure. They just take on new forms.
So consider this. In a world where your own body can literally be a weapon, where the lines between friend and enemy are constantly shifting, and the very definition of life is up for grabs, what price would you really pay for survival? And if the cure for a global plague lies in sacrificing the genius who actually created the threat in the first place, what does it say about our collective values, about the kind of future we're willing to build, or maybe just stumble into? Join us next time for another deep dive into the stories that shape our understanding of the world.